So now on this whole chomo thing with this dude or whatever, pretty much you're off the caseload. This dude does some vicious shit, and you think, hey, had you been allowed to do what you called your job, his ass would have been back in jail, and these other, his family members wouldn't have been victimized, right?
Yes, correct. Yeah, 100%.
You eventually become an investigator, right?
Yes.
So as an investigator, what type of work you doing out here on the street now?
So I work for the major crimes unit, which anywhere from homicide, drugs, fraud, just anything and everything. And what it is a multi-unit. So they take maybe a couple deputies from here, a couple city police, whoever, and whatever. And my boss was the chief who ran the major crimes unit I worked for, was a former DEA. I don't know what his position was, but he was like the leader. He wasn't the chief, but
So you're a cop. Are you out there, do you eventually start, investigating homicides, things like that?
Yes.
I want to talk to you because I want a cop's perspective. A guy, because, you don't find this very often where a guy's been in prison, he's been a probation officer, he's been a cop, he was in prison before all that, then he becomes a homicide investigator. There's this shooting with Sonya Massey, right? God bless her and God bless her family, in Illinois. I don't know if you've seen it, but this deputy, he's been cited for DWI. I think he's got some other stuff in his history. They go in this house. She calls, and she calls because she thinks, maybe there's someone creeping around. I don't know the full story, but they come, and she's got a boiling pot of water. There's kind of some conflict in between the cop and her. And, she's like, hey, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. And she's got this pot of water, and he's got this gun out. He's like, put it down. I'll shoot you right in the fucking face. Honestly, bro, I've been around some real nasty ass cops. And, they say there's a thin line sometimes between criminal and cop. Long story short, this cop shoots this lady in the face and he kills her. All right. It's all over the news. People are upset, obviously. You go into a house, you're a street cop. You're not right up on her. She's got this boiling thing of hot water, right? Do you feel threatened because she's got a boiling pot of hot water?
No.
If she picks it up and she looks like she's going to come towards you,
then I'm going to back up. I'm going to make myself out of the way. I mean, it's a boiling pot of water. If she throws it on me, is it going to burn me? Yes. So I'm going to make a distance between myself. I've seen the video. I know what you're talking about now. I've seen that. I've watched it. And there's a lot of things that should have been done differently. There's tasers, there's pepper spray, there's when the woman was sitting in another room on the couch, her stove's on, you got an officer here standing by the kitchen and ask her to turn the water off. That's stupid. What? Just walk over there and turn the fucking stove off. You know what I mean?
So in your perspective, bad shooting, right?
Yes, that's a bad shooting. Bad shooting.
This dude's been cited before. Sometimes you get around these cops that are just nasty. They just think, hey, man, they're above the law, whether you're in prison cops, street cops, investigators. I mean, I've been around, I've had some shit done to me. I've been cuffed behind my back and punched in the back of the head in New York State prison. And those are the people that I despise more than anything in the world. I despise cops that act like that. So pretty much bad shooting. He could have kept his distance. He didn't really have to. I mean, I really don't think that he had to shoot her, but there's other people like, well, that boiling pot of water, she could have burned his face for the rest of his life. But really, it wasn't a confrontation that was that serious, right?
No, it was not that serious. And like I said, there's so many different scenarios that they could have done, like the officer's body cam footage of the one that was by the kitchen. Again, could have went and shut the stove off himself. Number one, that would have solved one problem. She was obviously having a mental episode, or whatever was going on. There was no de-escalation of that situation at all, which, that's something that should have been done. But there's several ways. Where's the less lethal force? If they really felt they were like a pot of boiling water, yes. If she was right next to me and she threw it on me, yeah, it could have burned me. But the distance between her and where they were standing at, where's the taser at? Where's the pepper spray at?
They're in Chicago. Well, they're in Illinois, right? You're in Ohio, Midwest. What are the rules in Ohio of engagement? When are you permitted to shoot somebody?
The way I was taught, and normally with the rules, if you're in fear for your life, and it comes down to the point, it's you or them. That's when you use lethal force. It's not, and to me, that's not a lethal force at all, a lethal force use. Now, if she was over there by the stove and pulls out a knife and starts swinging it, or again, that distance of where she was, still, did I think my life's in danger when she's that far away? I would have shot her with a taser, probably pepper sprayed her, something else. Um, but as far as shooting her, now if she whipped out a gun, I'm shooting her ass. It's me or her. You know what I mean? And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. I'm sorry, like shoot her ass. I'm saying a scenario, not her, but I'm just saying that scenario. Now if she pulls a gun out of the drawer, whatever, then I'm good. Then it's me or her. I don't know what she's gonna do with it. I don't know if it's a BB gun. I don't know if it's real. I don't know.
I think anybody watching the show that if you have a weapon and someone pulls out a gun on you, you're probably going to shoot their ass, right?
Yeah,
I mean, that's
exactly.
that's what it is. It's real. It's raw. That's what it is. But when the lady's at the stove and there's some water boiling on the stove and you got all this distance, it's kind of like the Tamir Rice thing because they talk about that a lot. The Tamir Rice issue, right?
Yes.
I think that was a really bad shooting. This is a kid. He's got a BB gun. You drive right up on this kid when you could have kept your distance, got out. Hey, put your hands up, drop the gun. They didn't know it was a kid, whatever they want to say. Look, man, you shot a kid that had a BB gun and you really brought it on yourself in Ohio. When you could have kept your distance and try to, resolve that thing. So there's been a lot of bad shootings, man.
There is. And look, I'm gonna tell you right now, I've worked with a lot of not a lot. I've worked with bad cops. I've worked with bad COs. I've worked with bad people in general in the law enforcement field. You're always going to have those bad apples that are in there that are rogue, or they're a lot of them are alcoholics. You know what I mean? A lot of them are doing drugs. There's a lot of different scenarios, or they got freaking mental problems, or shit ain't going good at home. The old lady, is cheating on them, whatever it is. But you don't bring that shit to work. That's one thing I did, is I always keep my work separate. I got kids and I got a family, and I try to keep my work separate. And I have to, when I come home, I have to, keep that work at work, even though I'm on duty 24/7. I have to decipher in my head, hey, listen, I got to keep that separated from my home life. So when I walk in the door, no matter how bad of a day I have, and my daughter's in there, or my son's in there, and they come run up, Dad, I'm happy as can be, hugging them, not thinking about what I just went through. I'll deal with that in a different, way myself, whether it be if I need to go out to the garage and drink a beer, and you know what I mean, and just resonate on it and decipher, if I did something wrong, or how that played out was wrong, whatever. But there's ways of dealing with it other than the way they just gung ho go at it. But you got to decipher that and make that in your life. If you're going to work in law enforcement or any type, that's what I've learned, is your life at work has got to be separate from your home life. You can't take it home with you. If you take it home with you, I mean, I know people that's committed suicide that were cops, or COs, especially COs, because that's a high freaking job. You gotta, if you can't do that, then you get out of that job. Get out of there.
Listen, you're working the street. You're an investigator. You're doing homicide investigations. What's it like, man, when you get a kid, man, 17, 18 years old, just took someone's life and you got him in the interrogation room? Is your job, we know what your job is, right? To get him to confess.
Yes.
Put this thing together. You ever feel bad when you got a 17, 18-year-old kid that's just, you talk to him and he's got a fucked up life. Mother might be a drug addict. He's out here in the street. He don't got nothing. He's hustling and he ends up shooting someone and killing him over nothing. Does it bother you, man?
Yeah, I mean, it does, because there was, you bringing that up, first thing comes to mind. I mean, a case that I did where there was a shootout between two kids, 16 and 17-year-old. One gets tagged in the head, and he goes to the hospital and he dies. And a murder. And this is in Columbus, not good neighborhood. Family wants justice. Shit ain't getting done. And we used to overtake a lot of cases too, and I'm going to tell you, on this one case too, there was other investigators from the city cops that were there. They were doing their investigation, but we supersede them. And so my boss tells me and my partner, hey, you guys need to go meet with, I already got it set up. You're going to meet with the lieutenant. They're going to give you all the information they have on this case. And we're going to work the case from here on out, which we had already been working it. And I said, okay. So we get over there and sit down. I look at their file and it's like that. Like, you fucking shit me. It's a homicide, dude. And your case is like that. What work did you do? What did you do? They didn't do shit. And I'm not trying to play the race card here, but I'm going to just say, so it's a bad neighborhood, bad part of town in Columbus. There were two black kids, and they had a beef. These two detectives that were working the case were white. And when I said, I need your file, their lieutenant's there. And I open up the file, and they didn't really do shit. They didn't canvass. They didn't talk to nobody. They didn't interrogate nobody. I'm like, they're like, I don't want to say the word, but you guys already know, because they're black. That's just another, off the street. And that made me sick to my stomach, that those type of officers are working a homicide case like that on a kid that, like you said, both of them came from bad freaking families, bad, upbringings, drugs, parents on drugs. And, it's just bad.
Let's talk about the tough guy shit. When you get these guys in the interrogation room that commit a murder, right? They're out on the street, man. They might got a couple dollars, gold chain, nice car. They think they're doing something, but they're really not doing much. You get them inside that interrogation room, they break down. We see it on First 48, but tell us from your personal experience. How many dudes fold when they get in that room?
Shit, I would say probably, I'd say about 80% break down, and they tell it all. And I'm going to tell you what, I ain't never seen so many crybaby tough guys in my life. They're tough on the street. Like you said, they're hard asses. They're, oh man, don't fuck with him, or whatever it is. And then as soon as you put them in handcuffs and you get them in the car, you take them downtown, they're crying. They're crying.
I ask you that because there's some young dudes watching this show. Some dudes are in the street. You'd be shocked at how many people write me, man. How many people hit me up, right? I want them to know that, hey, once you get in that room, all that tough guy shit's out the window. When the police start talking about, man, you about to get a life sentence, or, you're in Ohio, this could be a death penalty. This could be a death, man. They can strap your ass to the chair over there, right? They can lay you down and put a needle in you. All that tough guy shit goes out the window, huh? Now they start wishing that they had a different life, that they didn't live this life that they've been living, right?
Exactly. Yeah. It's a totally different, they have a totally different attitude. I mean, and like I said, First 48, I've been watching that since it came out. I love that show. A lot of that stuff is in real life. It's true. And don't throw your life away when you're young. I mean, when I was young, this is the way you handled it. You handled it with your fists. If you had a beef with somebody, you fought, you might have got your ass kicked, but at least you fought. Now it's all about guns, man. They pull out a gun. They think it's, hey, in their gang, or they want to look cool, or they want to be a hard ass. But as soon as you pull that trigger, dude, you can't take that back. It's done. You're done.
All the way done. You got a son?
I have two sons.
How old are your boys?
12 and 15.
12 and 15. So you got these, you got kids at home. I know you recently retired. You got kids at home. You come up on a case like this and you find a 16-year-old shot in the head, 15-year-old shot in the head. How does it affect you as a father, man? You have no connection to these kids, but you are a father of two boys. How does it feel for you when you show up and you see some 16-year-old kid dead on the street?
It's sickening. A lot of stuff really, it's sad and it's sickening. And you know, to think that, you know, looking at my kids and thinking that they could be in this position, because trust me, my kids, if you talk to them, they would sit there and go, "Oh, man, my dad's an asshole, or he's too strict, he's mean." I do it out of love and out of, I don't want them to do the shit that I went through and do the things that I did. But also, like you said, when I got a 16-year-old kid sitting here who just shot somebody and killed him, and the rest of their life, they're gone. They're done. They're, you know, and if they do get out, they're going to be 60 years old. You know, their life is done and over with, all over that shit. It's sad, and it makes me sad.
It makes you sad. Prosecutor ever ask you? You ever go to a prosecutor and say, "Hammer this motherfucker"? Or you ever say, "You know what? I worked this case. Man, I feel bad for this kid, man. You know, maybe you could work something out where he don't get smashed for the rest of his life." You ever do that?
I have done that on several cases where I've tried to, because the more you start, especially when you're interrogating someone, you're trying to get that rapport. Depending on the investigator, some of them try to be hard asses right away, and they get nowhere. You got to sympathize with them. You got to talk with them. You got to build a rapport with them, you know, and building that rapport with them and getting to know them and getting to know their background and what transpired. 100%, I would go to the prosecutor and say, "Look, you know what? This kid does not deserve to be spend the rest of his life in prison or the death penalty." You know what I mean? I would do it in a second. I have done it. I have actually spoken to the prosecutor and try to help them out. You know, when you come from an upbringing that's all you know from the time you're 10 years old, shots are flying everywhere. I mean, shit, it's like it's the life. But I feel like these kids that get into this, and I'm not saying it's okay for them to go out and shoot somebody and not get anything. I'm saying they're kids. Your mind's not developed all the way yet. You know what I mean? And they're looking at these shows and or or the people in the neighborhood, and that's where they learn what they learn.
I'm with you. You know, let me say this, right? I drive through my old neighborhood sometimes, and I don't even know why I do it. Because every time I drive through there, man, I look at people and I say, man, these people are living to die. I see these kids and I'm like, it's hurtful, man. And you look at them and you're like, damn, man, this kid ain't got a shot, man. 9, 10 years old, you see it. The mother's a drug addict. And I drive through there and I get home and I'm like, damn, man, why do I drive? And sometimes I tell my wife, I ain't never driving through there ever again. But yet I'm doing it again. 10 days later, 7 days later, I'm driving through that neighborhood. I went to the welfare building, you know, because we got this reentry house going, and I had to get a vendor number, right? So I go to the welfare building and I see all these people, man. And I'm like, damn, I see these kids. And I'm like, man, I used to come here, man, with my mom. You know what I mean? So I just start giving people money in there, man. These kids. I tell the mom, hey, you like ice cream? Here you go. Tell mom your mom's gonna get you. I tell them, hey, man, get this kid an ice cream. Another lady, I gave her a couple $100 in there, man. I felt like something was tugging at my heart to help them. So, you know, no matter if you're a cop, you're a former criminal, you know, when you see stuff like that, if you have any type of humanity, then that's the type of stuff that should bother you. You should want to help people if you're in a position to help them. Even as, excuse me, even as a cop, you know, you like you say, you get emotionally involved with getting to know who this person is in the interrogation room to get what you need for your job. But in the same time, you're like, damn, man, this kid never had a father. This kid's mother's been selling her food stamps since he was 7. This kid ain't had nothing to eat. Next thing you know, he's 11, 12 years old selling crack. Next thing you know, he's got a gun at 13. Now he's beefing with some other kid over some bullshit and he kills him. And now this is his life at 17. So you know what, man? I respect you, man. If that's what you were really doing in life, I respect you for doing that, man. I do. So, you know, with that being said, as an investigator, how many times you get hard asses where they're like, they go hard, they ain't telling you shit?
Oh, I mean, I've had my fair share. Like I said, it's probably 80-20. 80% you break them down, 20% you're not breaking them down. But there's different ways to break them down, especially if they're locked up. Like, how do you think? Like, I just remember working this one case, and it was a homicide case. Guy, he's in prison for on a different case, but he's getting out. He's getting out in 2 months. His name comes up in the investigation. The gun comes back to him because this happened prior to him getting locked up. I go talk to him now, and I'm going to tell you something. Working in law enforcement, and I feel like, to me, I always have felt this way now that I did it. There should be a lot more officers out there that have changed their life, have been on the streets, have done their hustle, or maybe done some shit and not read it out of a damn book, because I've worked with investigators. So this particular, just same thing with this particular case. The guy that's with me, he's supposed to be the lead, okay, investigator. He ain't never smoked a joint in a day in his life. He's a square, book smart. Everything he learned was out of a book. We go to the prison. I'm sitting there. I'm like, okay, man, it's all you. He's like, I got this. So they pull him out of his cell, bring him down. He comes in there. He's making himself at home. He's like, okay, what's up? And I let him talk. He's talking. And this guy's like, it's chow time, dude. Am I done now? It's chow time. He don't give a fuck about what he had to say at all. And he slams his file down, and tries to play hard ass with him and shit like that. And I said, hey, I tell you what, step outside for a minute, man. Let's go step outside. I need to talk to you. I said, let me talk to him for a minute, real quick. Because he said, we're done. I'm done. I'm not talking to you no more. So you got to play the game. And what's the angle? When you're in prison, your angle is, if you got an old lady out there, you're thinking about your old lady a lot. Supposed to be, what's she doing, whatever. The angle I used at him was, how do you think I got your name? Why do you think I'm here? I don't know. He's playing hard ass. I said, dude, your fucking homeboy, your best friend, and I tell him his name, is fucking your old lady. And that's how I got your fucking name. And that's how I got your prints on the gun. They gave it all up to you. Your homeboy, your best friend. Am I lying to him? Yeah. Partly not. And guess what? So I leave my card. He's sitting there stunned. He don't talk no more after that. He's not like saying, I want to go to chow, whatever. I slide my card over to him. I said, you want to talk? I'll help you out. You call me. 2 days later, he calls me.
Let me ask you this, right? Since you mentioned that, you have the power to help people, even in a homicide?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you do have the power to help people. Yes.
People, how that works. You go to the prosecutor and say, look, I need this thing here. This guy's got what I want. I want you to give him 5 years. Is that how it works?
I can't particularly tell him how much time to give him. That's not, obviously I can't do that. But I could say, hey, look, he's working with me to solve this case, which is going to make you on the news. You're going to be, hey, you won this case, whatever. He's helping me. You help him. But because otherwise he's not going to help. You know what I'm saying? So let's give him a deal. Let's give him some type of deal.
How many times do you need criminals to help you in order to solve a case?
Probably 90% of the time.
90% of the time.
Yep.
So now you're out of the job. How long have you been retired?
Since 2012.
Since 2012. So you retired early. How'd that happen?
Medical retirement.
You get a medical retirement. Do people that you work with, they didn't know that you were in prison before, right?
A lot of them no. The only people that know are two of my, the sheriff's nephew, And two of the partners that I had for years, that we had our backs 100%. I could trust them 100. To this day, we're still, matter of fact, my one partner's birthday was today. I called him the day to wish him a happy birthday. We've always kept in touch. He's always had my back. I always had his back. Now, how he had my back sometimes would be standing and watching me get my ass whooped a little bit on the ground, rest fighting somebody before he jumped in, and he'd be laughing about it. But yeah, but he had my back.
So now you're on the biggest YouTube channel. No, I'm just joking. People are going to know who you are now. Some people might see it. Do you think there'll be any pushback?
Hey, I don't care. You know what? It is what it is. And I'm telling the truth and the way it really is. If they don't like it, shit, you know what I mean? I don't work there no more. They kiss my ass.
Listen to this, man. I appreciate you coming on. I know you got your own channel. I'm going to do a two-part series here, and I'll put it in both. I'll put your link up in both for your channel. Tell the people where they can find you. What's your YouTube channel, brother?
It's at Criminal to Cop. And then I just started that one about a month ago. And then I just started from it's probation officer's perspective, at probation officer's perspective.
I'll make sure I put the links, tell people to check you out. Anything you want to say before we go?
I just want to say, like, kind of what we talked about. Look, I want people to know that you can do anything you put your mind to. And everybody is not perfect. Everybody has bumps in the road. And sometimes, you might feel helpless and there's nobody out there. And I'm going to tell you, you do feel helpless sometimes, that there's no people out there to help you, but there's always somebody that can help you or help you get to that goal it is in life that you want to reach. No matter what your past is, it can be done, now. And you're helping people. I mean, look at the people you help. You've been helping people. And that's my message. I mean, if you got something in your head, like, do it, try it. You know what I mean?
Listen, man, I appreciate you coming on. Your links will be in there. Crazy story, a lot crazier than I thought it would be at the beginning, but definitely appreciate you coming on, brother. I'm gonna tell people, if you like what we're doing, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, go subscribe to this brother's channel, check him out. Blood on the Razor Wire TV. Until tomorrow, with respect, we're out.